Hello. So this is kind of cool. We picked up 4 tip mares from the same HMA, and we wanted to show you some. They all have different personalities. So Isidro wanted to show you guys how he's going to approach them differently. So this method he's using, this is Miss Otter here, and she is a 3-year-old. And what he's doing with her is she's a little easier going personality. And he's just going to use this whip to touch her with and kind of get her to slow down. And what he noticed with her was that she wanted to kind of shut down a little bit and kind of hide. You see how she's putting her head down? She wants to kind of hide and not look at him. And it ended up where she's very guarded on her face. So they're all so different. So you can touch her butt. She could care less. Didn't try to kick, nothing like that. She was just real protective of her face. And so her head being down like that, she's not really engaged on him. What he wants is he wants those ears and those eyes to kind of lock on him. And what she wants to do is kind of act like he's not there. And so he's just doing some activities here to kind of wake her up and reward what he's after. So you can see there, she doesn't want her head touched, but he can touch her butt. Most horses, like a lot of these Mustangs, would try to kick that. And you see, she just kind of tucks her butt. And these poor mares, all of them, so what happened with them was they got gathered in September of 2019, and they were all pregnant, and so they didn't adopt them out. They let them go ahead and foal at the corrals in Utah. That's where they came from, Delta, Utah. And so they just weaned their babies, which was nice. They gave them a nice long time to wean those babies. And so they all are just drying up right now, and they've all had their manes and their tails kind of chewed up a bit from those babies, because they were all mamas in with a bunch of babies, and the babies just, they're bored, so they get into a lot of trouble. So they will grow back. They're going to have long, beautiful, thick manes and tails. You can see they have thick hair, so they'll be real pretty. But right now, they're just beat up mamas, poor things. So what's really interesting too is you'll see the other horse pacing. That's another mare we're going to see here in a minute. And Isidro is going to show you how very different he approaches that type of horse. So Otter here is super easygoing. Nutria is her name in Spanish. She's not as flighty and sensitive as the other ones. She's just a little more guarded on her face. So you'll see she's trying to hide her face here. So what he wants to do is he's going to try and ask her to move forward by kind of, tapping on her here, making it a little uncomfortable. And then when she's facing him, then he stops that kind of irritating with the whip. So he's using the whip as just an extension of his arm. A lot of people use this method. We don't have halters on them. So these are going to be 4 horses that you can try. And when you're gentling a Mustang, you can try these techniques, seeing what works for you, what works for your philosophy, what works for the personality of the horse you're working with. We really try to change what we do depending on the horse's personality. And you can see she's real guarded here. She doesn't want him to touch her face. And you'll see the other mares are a bit different. But she's not real reactive. Like, she's not like freaking out or anything, so this mare has a nice mind. This is going to be a really good one for like a first time Mustang owner. She's definitely going to be good for that. She's kind of got that nice mind. And look at her. She's not even reactive to this whip. It's great. And he's just using this as an extension of his arm, kind of getting to know her a little bit, because every horse has like their spots, that they're okay with, and they have some no-go places. So he's just kind of getting a feel for her, being able to touch her safely with that lunge whip to see where her sensitive spots are. So when he does touch her with his hand, he's got a better idea of where she's willing to accept a touch more. And he kind of wrapped that around a little bit just to kind of give him a little bit of play where he can tug on it a little bit, see if she'll, give to that pressure. But it's not much. So Sitter generally likes to touch their face first, but not every Mustang likes their head being touched first, and that's okay. You'll see in a minute kind of what she, is willing to give him today. And this is day one with her. So you can see she's letting him kind of rub on her neck there, and she wants to go hide back in her corner. So he's going to tell her, no, that's not what I want. What he wants to give her is not to feel like she needs to hide and shut down, because these horses are the ones that, like, if you don't read that correctly, they will shut down and then just explode, supposedly, out of nowhere when they seem like they were okay. Or these are those horses that you get them out, you get them saddled, and you go to ride them for the first time, and they're like, oh, they were so easy with everything, and then, they just explode. So you have to be really, really careful with these horses that seemingly act like they're okay and don't skip any steps. So that was good. He wants her to move out of there and not get stuck. And so you see here, she's putting her butt to him, not because she's threatening him. Doesn't seem to be her personality. It's more she's protecting her head because that's her no-go spot. So you see how he's doing, he's kind of driving her a little bit here. And I mean, this is great. I mean, he's practically starting to teach her to lunge, right? So just to kind of move forward off that pressure. She's a really weird color. Like her head and neck are kind of a seal brown. And then you see that dorsal stripe that actually kind of goes into her tail there. So I have no idea what color this horse is. I guess she's probably just a bay, but she's different looking. I am not a color expert, but she's kind of cool looking. And I like her real round kind of frame and body. She looks like she's going to be real balanced and nice to ride. So that was really good. So what he wants to do is he wants to have her head there so that she can have an out, right? So if she has her head in the corner, it puts him in a dangerous place, and she doesn't have an out. So what she'll do is she'll just shut down more. So here he's leaving that door open, that she can go run forward if she's feeling like this is too much pressure. Of course, ideally, you don't want to get past that threshold where they feel it's too much pressure. So here she goes back into her corner, and he's going to tell her, no, I don't want you in the corner. So be really, real careful of those horses that try to put themselves in a corner. That doesn't mean that they're accepting what you're doing. So this is much better, where she has a window there that she can leave. And so this is great. This is the spot that she says, I'm okay with you touching first. So he was able to kind of rub on her neck and her shoulder there. But you see how her ears are stagnant? Like she's one that's going to want to shut down a little bit. So you have to be really careful with that. And that's basically like, the dog that puts his head under the couch. If he can't see you, you can't see him. Putting your fingers in your ears and singing la 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 la, it's not happening. That's not a good mental spot to be in. I'd rather have a horse run away from me and tell me that they're upset than one that just shuts down. It's hard to read, and I think it causes more like a PTSD type symptoms afterward. So that was really good. He was just playing with her tag a little bit there. See how tight it was. So I like how she's not really flinchy. Like, that's great. I think this mare is going to come around and come along really nicely. And so he's kind of playing with her head here. See, he's right on her cheek. She was kind of okay with the cheek. So he's definitely pushing his threshold here. And then, so this is interesting. So he took his hand away, and then he put his hand back up there. And she kind of woke up a little bit, and she wasn't okay with it. So that's why it's so important that you do a lot of approach and retreat. Because they let you do something once doesn't mean that they're okay with it, and they'll let you do it again. It's a lot of repetitive stuff to get these Mustangs gentle. A lot of just having the timing and the skill to push thresholds, but don't push them over. So she's already learning. Look how smart she is. I mean, he barely has to even touch her there. And she's like, oh, I move forward. But she's not taking off. And then she's letting him know, I'm not quite okay with that. Yeah, these horses are nice to work with if you can recognize they're trying to shut down. Oop, that's the no-go spot. So that was a little interesting. So we know that her head is a little bit of her issue spot. So now that was her first day, and this is Duna's first day. Duna's interesting. She was the one that was pacing. He's going to use a completely different technique with her. So she's pacing back and forth. And it's kind of funny because she kind of reminds me of an Arab. And she even has a dishy head like an Arab. So what he's doing is he's clapping his hands when she's running to kind of disrupt her her process here. And then when she stops and looks at him, then he'll stop. And he's going to do it again. He's going to clap his hands, kind of make it a little bit uncomfortable for her to keep doing this pacing, running back and forth thing. And then when she kind of stops and looks at him and acknowledges and stops her kind of frantic pacing, then he'll reward her. And little sessions like that over and over again is what he did with this horse. So a completely different process. And this is Estrella, and she is, I think, another 3-year-old. Duna was a 4-year-old, and he's going to rope her. So he's got his kind of, it's a thick, heavy rope. It's not like a lariat, and he kind of threw it over, got it over her head. And sorry, this is so far away. It's just better if, for somebody else's video and you're not right up on the pen. And so what he's going to do with her is he's going to try to approach her and touch her head. And if she goes away, he's going to put pressure so she learns to yield to that pressure. And the majority of the time, he does use this technique. He's very good at it. You need to have your timing really, really good in order for this to work. And his timing is pretty amazing. So that was really good. So you just kind of pull. She's already yielding to that, which is great. It's going to be really easy to halter break them when they learn to yield to that pressure like that. And I love how you see the difference between this one and the first one. You see how locked on him she is? Like she looks at him, her ears are on him, she's alert. She's not trying to shut down. So these horses are super easy to train when they're interactive and they tell you exactly how they feel. But they're willing to learn and they're not being super reactive, which is like this mare. This is another one who's going to actually be really good, I think, for a first-time Mustang owner. And she's nice. She's a good size. She's got a nice big bone on her. Got some nice riding with her. She's going to be a nice one. And she's only 3, so she's got a lot of filling out to do still. And she's nice, pretty black color. Nice little head. You can see he's just being patient and slow. As long as she's not pulling on him or takes off, he's not gonna, yank on that rope. And you can see it's not tight around her, like it's not choking her or anything. He's got like a knot on there so that it won't. And what he's trying to do here is he would like her to smell him. He does that a lot with the Mustangs, is he kind of offers his arm up and they will take a good whiff of him to see what he's all about. And I love how well she's, giving to that pressure. So it was a lot of video. Of course, we cut short a little bit, just kind of give you some highlights. Here he's using the rope to touch her on the side of the face first and then working his hand up to it. Kind of like he did with the other one with the whip. He used the whip to touch her first and then worked his hand up it until his hand was touching her. And then she did so good. He actually rubbed her face and you couldn't quite see it, that he was able to just pull that loop right off of her. And really nice session. See how she's still looking at him? She's still involved. She didn't just take off. It's great stuff. It's a nice mare. This is the last one. This is Gacela. And she's a real pretty little thing. She's got nice conformation, a real pretty little head. And she's a 4-year-old. And she's got a little more energy than the other ones. And same thing with her. He's going to do the roping technique. And you see she responded right away. This is his second session with her. So she kind of knew how to do that. We didn't get like much video of the first session, so I apologize. But she already knew the minute that rope came on and he pulled on it that she kind of came and turned into him. And this is really good. Like you see her, she's super like involved. And I didn't get it, but she did try to bite him a few times. So she's a little more bold and knows a little bit more about who she is. So which is kind of fun. So you can see she really was like, oh, I don't think I want to yield to that. Oh, there we go. See, that release is so important. And then she starts to go again. Oh, and release. So he's just telling her, hey, stay here with me, be involved in this training. Don't take off. And this is where you start teaching them to not bolt. It's going to be a lot of fun to see these guys. I want to do another video in a week so you can see what their progress has been after a week of training. And, once they're ready these are all adoptable. So they're all available for the $125 adoption fee. And with our tip horses, like we like to do, is we like to be able to, you can go in, halter them, lead them, tie them up, load them on a trailer, wash them off, pick up their feet. They should have had their first trim. They should know some lunging. They should know how to lunge. And that's what our tip horses are. So these mares will be available for $125. Adoption fee with BLM with approved application. And then we also offer saddle training. If you want to keep them with us, a saddle train at our regular training fee. They're all old enough to be saddle broke. And they all look like they're going to be nice saddle horses. Like they've got, nice angles, good legs, nice and solid. I mean, they're Mustangs, so they have some, nicks and bumps and stuff here and there, but they're all super sound. Really, really nice looking solid mares. Good withers. This one, look at her pretty face. Such a pretty, pretty face. And she's got something to say. Like she's giving him a little attitude, which is great. She's bold. And so with this one, see, she's cool with him touching her forehead, not so much cool with him touching the rest of her. So it's always kind of fun to see, each one's so unique. I can't imagine using the same training method on every horse because they're so different. So that's why I thought it'd be kind of fun to show you 4 different ones kind of back to back and their progress on how different they are. And how even the same trainer can change their method, of working with them and gentling and stuff like that. This one, I think he really wants to get a halter on her. We do have a chute. We can put him in the chute if we want to and put a halter on him. But we don't always have to have a drag rope. We try to adapt. So thanks for watching. So look for updates on these gals in about a week.